Welcome back, students, to the next session on ionic equilibrium. Now, in today's session, we shall be studying about solubility product, and also we'll learn the relationship between solubility and solubility product, and then we'll understand what is common ion effect. So, up till now, I hope you have been enjoying my sessions. If so, then please do subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell button so that you receive my notifications. Okay, on that note, now let us begin with solubility product. We'll first consider the solubility product of a sparingly soluble salt. Okay, for example, now let us consider silver chloride. Silver chloride is sparingly soluble in water. That means when we dissolve silver chloride in water, only a small amount of it undergoes ionization to form silver ions and chloride ions. And hence, the majority of the silver chloride will exist in the molecular state as AgCl itself. So if we write the expression for dissociation constant of such a sparingly soluble salt, the expression would be K is equal to molar concentration of Ag plus into molar concentration of Cl minus upon the molar concentration of AgCl. But I just told you that silver chloride is a sparingly soluble salt. So the degree of ionization is going to be very, very less. And hence the equilibrium concentration of AgCl will be the same as the initial concentration of AgCl. And hence I can say that this molar concentration of AgCl at equilibrium will be another constant K dash, right? So if I put K dash here, on cross multiplying, we get K into K dash is equal to molar concentration of Ag plus into Cl minus. I can replace this K into K dash by the term Ksp, where Ksp is called as the solubility product. Okay, so the solubility product for a sparingly soluble salt like silver chloride can be written as the product of the molar concentrations of the Ag plus ions and the molar concentration of Cl minus at equilibrium. So this brings us to understand what is solubility product. So you can generalize now that it is nothing but the product of the molar concentrations of the ions formed at equilibrium, and of course it has to be raised to the stoichiometric coefficients. Now in this case there are no coefficients, it is a balanced equation without any coefficients, therefore you don't have any powers here for Ag plus and Cl minus. But if it were raised to the stoichiometric coefficients, I mean if the balanced equation has the coefficients, you will have the solubility product as product of the molar concentrations of the equilibrium concentration of the ions raised to its stoichiometric powers. Okay, so let us take a general equation now and try and understand what is solubility product. So if I assume the sparingly soluble salt has a general molecular formula of BXAY, then it will ionize to a very small extent in water to form the positive B plus ions with Y number of positive charges and the negative A ions with X number of negative charges. To balance this equation, we put the coefficients X for B and Y for the A ions. So I have the general molecular formula BXAY and the general reaction or the equation for the ionization equilibrium as written here. Now, if I were to express the solubility product for such a sparingly soluble salt, it would be molar concentration of the B plus ions raised to its stoichiometric coefficient, that is X, multiplied by the molar concentration of the A negative ions raised to its stoichiometric coefficient, that is Y. And this Ksp is nothing but K into K dash, where what is K dash? We saw it was nothing but the equilibrium concentration of BXAY, the salt itself, the concentration of the salt at equilibrium, that we are assuming it to be a constant because this salt is sparingly soluble in water. So this is the general expression for the solubility product of any salt having any molecular formula of the type BXAY. Okay, so only remember that you have to raise it to the stoichiometric coefficients that is written in the balanced chemical equation. So based on this, we can now write the definition for solubility product. Solubility product of a salt is defined as the product of the equilibrium concentrations of its constituent ions, each raised to the stoichiometric coefficients as written in the balanced chemical equation. Okay, so I hope you all have understood what is solubility product. Now, let us understand what is solubility. We have already learned about solubility, children, in our earlier sessions. But once again, what is solubility? Solubility is nothing but the amount of substance in grams present in a given volume of solution. So amount of substance in grams, that means the unit for solubility in this case would be grams per liter or grams per decimeter cube or grams per ml. Depends on how the volume of the saturated solution is expressed. Okay, so this is solubility. Now we can also express solubility in terms of molar solubility. Now what is molar solubility? It is nothing but the number of moles of the substance that is dissolved in 1 liter of the saturated solution. So molar solubility, the units are more specific. It is moles per liter. Okay, so that is molar solubility. Now we can also write the relation between molar solubility and solubility. So if solubility is given to you in grams per liter, you can write it or convert it into molar solubility by dividing the solubility in grams per liter upon molar mass. Now why do we do this, students? Because you know that if you're having the mass in grams, you can convert into number of moles by dividing the mass with molar mass. So that is exactly what I've done here. Mass in grams upon molar mass gives you number of moles. Solubility is in grams per liter. So now you get moles per liter, and that is nothing but the molar solubility. So molar solubility is solubility in grams per liter upon molar mass. Very useful for numericals. So please keep this relation in mind. All right. Now, there is a relation between the solubility and the solubility product. Okay, so let us understand the relation between solubility and solubility product. So again, we consider our general reaction for the general molecular formula of the salt BXAY. So we write down the equilibrium, ionic equilibrium for the salt. It will form X times B with Y positive charges and Y times A with X negative charges. Okay, now what is the KSP for this particular reaction? We have just understood it is the molar concentration of the equilibrium concentration of the ion raised to its stoichiometric coefficient. So it is B plus ions raised to X, that is the stoichiometric coefficient of the positive ion. Okay, and the negative ion, that is A raised to X minus, this is the negative ion. So concentration of the negative ion again raised to the stoichiometric coefficient Y. All right. Now, suppose S is the molar solubility of the compound. Okay, suppose this compound BXAY has got the molar solubility as S. That means S number of moles are dissolved per liter of solution. Then what will be the equilibrium concentration of the ions, children? The equilibrium concentration of the ions will be S times X. Okay, that means the solubility, the number of moles that are dissolved, you have to multiply it by the coefficient in the balanced chemical equation. So concentration of B plus ions will be X times S. And similarly, the concentration of the negative ions, that is A minus ions, will be Y times S. So let us substitute these concentrations in the expression for solubility product. So what will I get? I will get KSP will be equal to X times S whole raised to X, because it has to be raised to the coefficient X. Okay, and similarly Y times S raised to the coefficient Y, substituting in this expression. Now let us solve this algebraically or mathematically. So when I put the rules of indices, I get it is X raised to X into S raised to X multiplied by Y raised to Y into S raised to Y. So now the basis S is common. So when you have indices with same base, you can take them together. So let us take the S together. So I get my solubility product will be equal to X raised to X into Y raised to Y into S raised to X plus Y, using the rules of indices. So this expression is the relation between solubility product and the solubility. So here S represents the solubility of the solution and KSP denotes the solubility product of that particular solution, of the salt solution that you've taken. Okay, so KSP, or what is the relation between solubility and solubility product? The solubility product KSP is equal to X raised to X into Y raised to Y into S raised to X plus Y, where your S is the solubility. What is X and Y? They are the number of ions, the coefficients of the ions in the balanced chemical equation. So when you write down this balanced chemical equation, what is the coefficient of the number of ions present? Okay, that is your X and your Y, which you need to substitute here. So very simple formula to remember and very easy to solve numericals also based on this. All right. So let us take up one simple numerical to understand its application. For example, if we have to find the relationship between the solubility and solubility product of aluminium sulfate. Okay. So first of all, let us write down the formula. The formula is KSP is equal to x raised to x into y raised to y into s raised to x plus y. So here we should know what is x and what is y. Then we can find the relation between the solubility product, that is KSP, and solubility, that is S. So we should know values of x and y. Now to know the value of x and y, we have to write down the ionic equilibrium for ionization of aluminium sulfate. So let us write down this equation, children. So aluminium sulfate Al2SO4 thrice, okay, which on putting in water will dissociate to form 2 aluminium ions and 3 sulfate ions. All right, so we have balanced the equation here. There are Al2 here, so the coefficient 2 is put here for Al plus 3 ions, and sulfate is there 3 times. See, outside the bracket it is 3. So you need to put 3 as a coefficient here for sulfate. Now how the charges are developed, if you are not knowing how many charges are there on aluminium and sulfate. So see, you have to just interchange these numbers. Al will get this 3. So Al gets plus 3. Metal will always be positive. And sulfate will get this 2. So, and sulfate will form the negative radical. So it will be sulfate with minus 2 charge. Okay, SO4 with minus 2 charge. Now let us find out what is x and y here from this equation. So from looking at this equation, we can say that x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3, which I have denoted here. Now substitute these values of x and y in your relation or the formula for KSP and S. So you get KSP is equal to 2 raised to 2, x raised to x. So it is 2 raised to 2, y raised to y. So 3 raised to 3, and s raised to x plus y. That means 2 plus 3. So I get 2 square is 4, 3 raised to 3 is 27, s raised to 5. When I multiply 4 and 27, I get 108. So the relation between the solubility and solubility product for aluminium sulfate is the solubility product KSP is equal to 108 times the solubility raised to 5. It is 108 into S raised to 5. So you can be asked some numericals in the MCQs where you need to select the right option. So very simple and easy to find the answers. All right. Now let us move ahead. Now, the solubility product is very important because it helps us to identify whether precipitation of that solute will occur or not. Okay, so if you're having a solution in which a salt has been dissolved and you want to find out whether the salt will precipitate or whether it will remain in the dissolved state. So for that, we need to calculate the ionic product. So ionic product, the expression for ionic product is same as for solubility product. That is the product of the molar concentrations of the ions. But when you are calculating ionic product, the molar concentrations of the ions will be at any point of time. Okay, it can be initial, it can be later also. But KSP value will be having the molar concentrations only at equilibrium. Okay, so here when you're putting the equilibrium concentrations of the ions, you get the solubility product. And when you take the concentrations at any point of time, then you get the ionic product. So if the value of the ionic product and the KSP is equal, that means the solution has attained equilibrium. It is a saturated solution. All right. But if the IP, that is the ionic product, is more than the KSP value, okay, that means it is a super saturated solution, and so precipitation will take place. And if the ionic product of the solution is less than that of the solubility product, that means the solution is unsaturated, and so precipitation will not occur. Followed? So hence the solubility product is very important because it helps us to identify when the precipitation will take place or whether the solution is super saturated or not. All right. Okay. Now we come to a very interesting topic, that is the common ion effect. Let us understand this again with an example first. Now when we studied buffers, we had taken for acidic buffer, we had taken a combination of acetic acid and sodium acetate, right? And we said acetic acid is a weak acid, so it will dissociate to a very small extent to form acetate ions and H plus ions, right? Now the sodium acetate being an electrolyte, the salt, it will ionize completely to form acetate ions and Na plus ions. Okay, so complete ionization. So there is a unidirectional arrow here. Now what happens when both these are present in the solution? Okay, a very interesting phenomenon takes place here. When we studied buffers, I told you that acetic acid, being a weak acid, remains undissociated. And here I have shown you the dissociation for acetic acid. The reason is because you will understand why the acetic acid remains undissociated due to this particular effect, which is called as the common ion effect. So what is this common ion effect? When I'm taking the acetic acid as well as the sodium acetate, that means in the solution, there is going to be presence of acetate ions from the acetic acid and also acetate ions from the sodium acetate, right? So this leads to excess of acetate ions in the solution. So both the reactions are giving rise to acetate ions. So there is excess of acetate ions in the solution. Now, whenever there is an excess of acetate ions, what will happen? The equation, the equilibrium will get shifted in the opposite direction so as to minimize the stress that is built up. So what is the stress here? The stress is increase in number of acetate ions. When the salt ionizes, more number of acetate ions have formed. So this extra acetate ions that have been formed, they will shift the equilibrium to the left because it has to reduce the stress. So this is in which accordance with which principle? Yes, the Le Chatelier's principle. So now the equilibrium has to be shifted. Now this is a unidirectional reaction, so no effect on this reaction. But the dissociation of weak acid is having an equilibrium. So this reaction will be shifted more towards the left. That means now the dissociation of the weak acid will be suppressed. Followed? So the excess acetate ions present in the solution is going to prevent the dissociation of acetic acid. Means now the forward reaction will not take place. Rather, the reverse reaction will take place. So we say the dissociation of the weak acid is suppressed. And hence, when I taught you buffers, I had told you that the weak acid will remain undissociated. Okay, and that is because of the application of Le Chatelier's principle. That whenever there is a stress in a particular reaction, then the reaction will adjust itself in such a manner that the stress gets minimized or nullified. So this effect that is generated is known as the common ion effect, because you can see here the presence of common ion. Okay, so now let us define what is the common ion effect. So common ion effect states that whenever there are common ions present in the solution, okay, that means when a strong electrolyte is present and the strong electrolyte contains an ion which is common to the weak electrolyte, then this common ion will suppress the dissociation of the weak electrolyte. Okay, so the suppression of the dissociation of a weak electrolyte due to the common ion which is present in a strong electrolyte is called as the common ion effect. So in the previous example, you saw how the acetate ions are the common ions. They are suppressing the dissociation of the weak electrolyte, that is the weak acid, acetic acid. Okay, because these common ions are present in the strong electrolyte, that is your sodium acetate. So this strong electrolyte will ionize completely, and these common ions will now suppress the dissociation of the weak electrolyte. So this is known as the common ion effect. So very, very interesting and important definition. Please do make a note of it. All right. And now we come to another example of common ion effect that can be used to study the solubility of sparingly soluble salt. Okay, now you know a sparingly soluble salt is already, it does not dissolve to a very great extent. Okay, it does not ionize to a great extent. Now suppose you are detecting the presence of silver ions, silver chloride, okay, silver ions in a solution. Now you know the salt which you have taken, if it is silver chloride, then the extent to which it dissociates is going to be less, because silver chloride is a sparingly soluble salt. The amount of ions present in your solution is less. So if I want that silver chloride to precipitate out, how can I make the silver chloride to precipitate out? So for that, I can add a strong electrolyte which has an ion common to silver chloride. So I can take here silver nitrate. Silver nitrate is a salt. It is a strong electrolyte. So it will ionize completely to form Ag plus and NO3 minus ions. Now, the dissociation of the strong electrolyte has added extra Ag plus ions, or now there is an excess of Ag plus ions in the solution. And these Ag plus ions are common to both silver chloride and to silver nitrate. Okay, But the presence of this excess Ag plus ions will now suppress the dissociation of the weak electrolyte. And which is the weak electrolyte here? The weak electrolyte is AgCl. It is also a salt like silver nitrate. But silver chloride, although it is a salt like silver nitrate is a stronger electrolyte and silver chloride is a weak electrolyte because it is sparingly soluble salt. So the presence of this excess silver ions will shift the dissociation of AgCl to the left. That means it will not allow the AgCl to dissociate. So it will help in the precipitation of your silver chloride. So when you were doing qualitative analysis, you must have seen that addition of silver nitrate immediately gives you a white precipitate indicating the presence of silver ions. So that white precipitate which you get is nothing but the precipitate of silver chloride. So you have used the concept of common ion effect to precipitate out the sparingly soluble silver chloride from your solution. I hope you have found my sessions interesting and useful. With this, we come to the end of the second chapter in your syllabus. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell button so that you receive my notifications. In my upcoming sessions, I shall be now dealing with numericals on these two topics that we have dealt with, as also we will try and start with a new chapter in my forthcoming sessions. So look forward to seeing you all in huge numbers. Please share and keep subscribing and ask your friends also to do the same. Thank you.